Hello and welcome to the Katie Halper Show. I'm so excited to be here with Claudia De La Cruz in person. We are at the People's Forum studio, as you can see from the cute little stickers I have on. Welcome to the Katie Halper Show. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. You hit subscribe and then the bell. And like the video because we want to make sure a lot of people come and join this stream. Claudia, by the way, is an organizer, a mom, co-founder of the amazing space, the People's Forum, a theologian, and she is running for president with the PSL, the Party of Socialism and Liberation. And Claudia, I'm very excited to be talking to you.
I'm very excited to be here.
And thank you. Yay. We are going to play a clip of you at Blackrock. You disrupted Blackrock to call out their war profiteering. Tell us why you chose Blackrock, what happened, and then we'll watch the video of you at Blackrock.
Well, November 9th was an international call for action in solidarity of Palestine. And so there were many actions that took place across the United States and across the world. And we decided to interrupt the business as usual that Blackrock continues to do, mostly because a lot of people don't know who Blackrock is and what they do. And, you know, they make money out of death. They make money out of, they invest in 5 of the biggest war profiteering corporations. So Lockheed Martin is one, which actually on October 8th reported to have an increase in their sales of stock, precisely because there was a war that was being waged against the Palestinians. And so, there's Boeing as well. And again, the big 5 corporations that are profiteering from war are heavily invested on by Blackrock, who spends over $30 billion in investments. It's also very interesting to note that the CEO of Blackrock has also investments in the New York Times. And so you see, just how colluded, just how entrenched these different fronts are to wage war and also to report war in a way that benefits capitalism. And so we know that Citibank is also one of the leading forces and investors in war, and many others, Albeit Systems as well. And so what we are attempting to do is identifying those who are profiting from the slaughter and the genocide in Gaza, but also around the world, and stop them, because there's no reason why they should continue with business as usual. There's no reason why they should continue to go and sleep a peaceful rest, while children are being bombed, while hospitals are being, life-giving infrastructure is being destroyed elsewhere. And Blackrock has also, been a point of disruption in Zimbabwe and different parts of Africa. And so they have, again, a large number of investments, and they receive a lot of money from war that's waged on mostly people of color, mostly indigenous people, mostly poor people and working class people around the world. And so we took part in that action, and we will continue to take actions like that.
So let's take a look at that video at Blackrock.
Profit and invest in the death of Palestinian babies. How dare they? How dare they go back home and with the same heads that they invest on weapons, killing hundreds of thousands of babies, because we have to take into account this shit started before October 7th. How dare they?
So how was the reaction to that?
The reaction, well, in terms of I think that there's been a lot of support for the action. I think that people understand, how disgusting it is to have corporations like that in the United States. I think that capitalism is becoming ever more apparent to people, and how harmful it is, not only to the working class people in the United States, but also the working class people globally, because capitalism is a global system. And so these corporations are making killer profits, literally and figuratively, they are making killer profits from death. When you see the levels of negligence of the state in regards to people in the United States with the levels of homelessness, with the lack of access to health care, with it's a neglect that is deadly, that it costs the lives of millions of people every year. I mean, millions of people die as a result of poverty in the wealthiest country in the world. And you have these huge corporations that are making investment in death. They're not investing in infrastructure. They're not investing or supporting anything that has to do with life-giving projects. But they are making a killer profit by the deaths of people. And even though Blackrock doesn't necessarily manufacture weapons, it doesn't produce weapons, again, it supports and invests in those manufacturers of weapons and the technology to surveil resistance and surveil and oppress people elsewhere. And so I think people are coming more, the tides are turning. I think that there's a large group of young people that have seen the dysfunctionality of the system, that have seen how they've been lied to and how their parents have been lied to, and the ways in which we have been, again, neglected, and our needs are not being met. And Palestine was just kind of like, it's a microcosm of all of the different fronts of struggles that we experience. And therefore, for a lot of these young people to see that there was a response that was affirming of Israel as a colonial, apartheid, genocidal state has created a sense of indignation that I think as activists, as organizers, as educators, as people that are concerned with justice, we need to be able to take this moment and intensify struggle, because it's a very deep moment of radicalization for the majority of young people in this country. I mean, 300,000 people took the streets of Washington, D.C., and across the many cities, over 300 cities, there were thousands of people in the streets. And that's a lot. Mm-hmm. That's way more than I've ever seen. And I've been doing a lot of pro-Palestine and liberation struggle work and movement work for a long time. I mean, for 30 years, and I have never seen a response like that. And it has to do with the way in which all these different things are colliding. Like the economic system is collapsing in terms of, the livelihood of people in the United States. You have, again, the continuous neglect of both Democrats and Republicans. You have people who are desperate. You have 2 million children who have lost their access to healthcare in this country. You have people that are dying from preventable diseases. And so all of these things, and on top of that, you have an administration that was supposed to be the lesser of two evils, right, supporting genocide. People are done.
Yeah. So we're going to talk more about your campaign, your movement, but sticking with Israel, I want to talk to you more about why the United States stands so unwaveringly with Israel. And here, giving us a hint, is none other than Joe Biden. So we have a videotape of Joe Biden. This is from 1986.
If we look at the Middle East, I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
So there we have it. Joe Biden saying if Israel didn't exist, we would have to invent it. So what does he mean when he says that?
I mean, I think, and I want to kind of step back from Joe Biden and Netanyahu, right?
Sure.
Because I think the history goes way back.
Right. And I should also say that he said this more recently than 1986. He said it the other day.
Yeah, basically. And to understand kind of like they call it a special relationship.
Right.
That's how they and it really is a genocidal relationship. It's a relationship between U.S. empire and colonialism. Is a relationship that is rooted in maintaining dominance and sustaining capitalism. That's the relationship. Joe Biden is just a representative of that project. Netanyahu is just a representative of that project. And everyone that comes along in either of these projects is there precisely to support the projects, support U.S. imperialism, and support the colonialist state of Israel. And we see that with Obama and Obama's position. We see that with previous ministers of Israel. Like, It is the defense of the project. We see it that it's a bipartisan issue.
Yep.
Is an issue that both Democrats and Republicans take to heart, and they both understand that there's a special relationship that needs to be maintained. Like, we need to understand the United States stakes in the Middle East. You know, while they were starting to pivot away from it, and pivoting to Asia, pivoting to China, it's still a very important region for the United States of America. And a lot of people may say and argue, you know, the United States does what Israel wants them to do. And the reality of the matter is that it's kind of backwards.
Yeah.
Because Israel is kind of like an outpost.
Right.
It's a military outpost for the United States. And when you hear Biden speak about the project of Israel and how it needed to be invented precisely to preserve the interests of the United States in the Middle East, to keep all the other countries in check.
Right.
Right? We see it through sanctioning. We see it through occupation. We see it through the constant attack of countries like Iran, like Syria, like Lebanon, you know? And so I think it's important for us to understand that this relationship goes beyond Joe Biden.
Sure.
It goes beyond Netanyahu. It is a colonial project that serves U.S. imperialism, and it serves to preserve the hegemony of the United States in that territory. And obviously capitalism, like the investment, the deadly investment of the United States of $4 billion a year to Israel is cheaper than having boots on the ground.
Right. Yeah, it's an outpost, like you were saying.
It's cheaper than having boots on the ground. And it's also cheaper in the sense of like they have Israel to do their dirty bid.
Right.
You know, and so I think, again, it's very important for us to see it within that frame and that understanding that, you know, yeah, we want genocide Joe out. But what we really, really need is to have U.S. imperialism out.
Yeah.
What we really, really need is to be able to end the colonial state of Israel. What we really, really need is to attack the global capitalist system. Because unless we do that, we're not resolving the issue that, you know, that Gaza is experiencing, that Palestine is experiencing, or Haiti is experiencing, or Zimbabwe. Like, those are things, again, that we need to be really clear for the United States in its construct as a capitalist society and as the empire. It serves them to have projects like NATO. It serves them to have projects like AFRICOM. It serves them to have projects like the Southern Command. And it serves them to have Israel.
Right.
It serves them to have Israel. And so I think, you know, if we really understand what's happening and what the root of the problem is, we don't want to deal with the symptoms. We want to deal with the actual illness.